we need to talk about structural classifications within the nervous system and look at some terms that you're going to need to know to understand what's going on in the nervous system. So we know from the last video, just really quickly, we have sensory input, right? We have a integrating center, so a place where information is processed. So call it integration. And then we have a response. And this is motor. This right here comes via the central nervous system. So it goes into the central nervous system, and then the response goes out to an effector. Okay, so what are the things that do that? These are neurons, right? These are neurons that are sending these pieces of information. So on the sensory side, we have neurons that are connected to receptors that are all around the periphery. And when those neurons, through their cell bodies and dendrites, pick up information of something that's happening via a receptor, it will send that information down the axon, the axon of the neuron, right? And that communication will go into the central nervous system. And there will be a neuron within the central nervous system that will respond to it, it will be connected to. I'm going to put it a different color. Okay. That information on that neuron then will either go up to the brain or it'll go right back out. So once it goes out, because if it goes up to the brain, then it'll be processed or whatever and then come back down and go out. But, and I'm going to, give me 1 second, I am going to make this bigger. So this neuron, this is within the central nervous system. Just want to make that a little bit bigger. All right, and then it will send out a motor response, and it will send it out through another neuron, and that neuron cell body will be in the central nervous system. It will be in the spinal cord. So I'm going to do that. And then it will go out into the periphery to the effector. So these are all neurons that are connected and sending information. I'll put little things there. Let's put a couple of dendrites here, whatever. This area out here is PNS because these neurons are out in the periphery. They're out connected to receptors in your skin and in your organs or whatever, within your body. This neuron in here is within the central nervous system. Okay, so this neuron here is a central nervous system neuron. This neuron up here is a peripheral nervous system neuron. This one out here is also PNS. because it's going out to effectors out in the body. Okay, so again, this is motor, and this is sensory. So remember, information is flowing in this direction into the central nervous system and then back out. All right, so in the peripheral nervous system, neurons don't just go by themselves. Neurons are very small cells, and neurons that are going to similar places travel together, and they travel in bundles. So a bundle of axons in the PNS is called a nerve. So a nerve is not a neuron. A nerve is just a collection of neurons traveling in one direction. On the motor side, it is the same thing. So we still have nerves here, because this is still the PNS. Okay? In the central nervous system, a bundle of axons in the central nervous system is called a tract. It's still the same thing, it just has a different name within the central nervous system. It's still a bundle of axons running in the same direction, but it's called a tract. Okay? Another thing about neurons is that their cell bodies aren't just anywhere. They're not just like all over the place. They're basically concentrated into different specific places. Okay? So a group of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system, in the PNS, is called a ganglion. Again, they're not just cell bodies all over the place. They're all grouped into a common spot, and that spot is called a ganglion. In the central nervous system, so a bundle or group, should I say group really? Group of cell bodies in the central nervous system is called a, get ready for it, nucleus. I know that's confusing, but that's what it's called. Okay. In the PNS, the group of cell bodies is a ganglion. Many groups of cell bodies are ganglia. And in the central nervous system, a group of cell bodies is a nucleus. And several groups of cell bodies is a nuclei. So that's how the nervous system is set up as far as its neurons and where they're going and where they're coming from, and all of that. So you want to make sure to understand and know these terms and their differences. When we're talking about the central nervous system, we're talking tracts and nuclei. When we're talking peripheral nervous system, We're talking nerves and ganglia. Okay, so keep that in mind, and in the next video, I'm going to map out the entire nervous system.